It all started with a story. I was sitting in the back of the classroom, my legs stretched out under the desk, smirking as the new teacher, Ms. Evelyn, told us about Pinocchio. She had a haunting way of speaking, her voice soft but piercing, as if it could slice through your lies and expose every hidden truth.
Lies,
she said.
Don't just twist the world around you. They twist you. They reshape you into something you don't recognize.
I rolled my eyes. Cool story, miss, but we're not 5 anymore. The class chuckled, and I basked in the attention. I was Beano, the untouchable. My dad's money kept me safe no matter what I did. That afternoon, Jim became my target again. Skinny, quiet, and always an easy pick. Hey, Jimmy boy, I called, snatching the milk carton from his hands. Before he could react, I dumped it over his head.
Stop, please!
Jim's voice cracked as he wiped milk from his face. But mercy wasn't my style. As he tried to escape, I loaded my slingshot with a small stone. But Jim turned at the last second. For a second, I just stood there, the slingshot slack in my hand. Then the fear kicked in. My heart pounded, but I did what I always did. I walked away. Let someone else find him. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Jim falling replayed in my mind. When I finally drifted off, I woke up to a strange stiffness in my legs. I threw back the covers and gasped. My left leg was straight, rigid, and unnaturally smooth. Running my hand over it, I realized with growing horror, it felt like polished wood. This isn't real, I muttered. Pulling on a pair of jeans, I forced myself to act normal. All the attention that morning was on Jim. Whispers circulated about how he'd been found unconscious, hospitalized with no sign of waking up. My stomach twisted. Surely that couldn't be my fault. Could it? Then the police showed up. They questioned everyone going down the line of students. My stomach churned as they got closer.
Beano?
One officer said, his pen poised.
Where were you after school yesterday?
I swallowed hard. The truth clawed at my throat, but I couldn't admit it. Not when my dad's reputation, my safety, everything was on the line. I went straight home, I lied. Pain shot up to my shoulder as I looked down. My fingers were locking into place, the skin taking on the same unnatural wooden texture as my leg. I clutched my arm, hiding it behind my back. That's all I know. The officer nodded and moved on, but the damage was done. I darted behind the school building, my breath ragged. I checked my hand. It was wooden, my fingers stiff, immobile. A voice behind me made me jump.
Beano, are you all right?
I turned to see Ms. Evelyn. Her gaze was sharp, too knowing. She asked if I knew anything about Jim's injury. I shook my head, denying it again. But with every word, I felt my body stiffen further, my chest constricting like it was encased in a wooden cage. Ms. Evelyn's eyes bore into me, and she said softly,
Beano, lying won't save you. I can't help if you don't tell the truth.
At home, my dad was waiting, his usual stern expression fixed on me.
Sit down,
he ordered. I obeyed, my legs creaking like ancient floorboards.
What happened at school today?
I hesitated. The room seemed to close in around me. Nothing, Dad. Just a normal day. The wooden transformation surged. My hands froze mid-air. My face stiffened as my nose began to stretch outward. Enough! I blurted, tears spilling. "It's my fault! Jim is hurt because of me! I didn't mean to!" But my confession did little to soften my father's gaze.
Does anyone else know?
He asked coldly. "Miss Evelyn," I admitted. She suspects everything." For a moment, my father said nothing. The silence was unbearable. I dreaded these moments, the calm before the storm. Maybe I had gone too far this time. Maybe I'd finally done something even he couldn't protect me from. "I'm sorry, Dad. Tomorrow I'll go to the police. I'll tell them everything." I dropped to my knees, pleading for his forgiveness. I regret what I did, and all the lies." He rose slowly, his movements unnervingly stiff. Under the flickering light, his shadow warped and stretched, revealing something monstrous. My heart froze. His true form emerged, a towering wooden puppet, his face rigid and eerily lifeless.
We don't lie, Bino. We create the truth.
As he spoke, his nose began to extend, the wooden grain cracking as it grew longer. Without a word, he opened a drawer, pulling out a rusty saw. In one swift, he sliced through the wooden length of his nose. "Dad, what are you doing?"
She'll be handled. You'll learn, just as I did.
As he left, his wooden joints creaking, I sat there, paralyzed. The next day, Miss Evelyn didn't show up. Rumours spread, but no one had answers. I knew, though. Dad had silenced her. More unsettling was the slow realisation that other staff members, teachers, the principal, moved with that same stilted stiffness. They were like me, or worse, like my father. At break time, my friends asked,
Do you know what happened to Miss Evelyn?
I hesitated. My wooden fingers tapped against the table. No idea. I would never escape. A puppet, bound by strings I couldn't see, forever performing the lies I told.
The condition of the king's and the late queen's bodies is identical, completely drained of vitality. Finn, investigate if any blood-draining monsters have appeared in the kingdom recently.
Yes, Your Majesty.
My king is dead. Whose queen am I now?
Dowager Queen Eleanor. Were you speaking to someone? We're going to be late.
This is the only daughter of the king and the late queen. Yet, she inherited none of their beauty. I wasn't speaking to anyone. Let's go. Her name is Snow White, but her skin is far from fair. No, it's still dark and sallow, yet strangely brimming with vitality. Her once thin hair now shines with health. In this harsh, famine-stricken winter, she looks more full of life than she ever did in spring. How peculiar. Let's go. This winter is harsher than ever, so much so that even the king's funeral had to be drastically simplified. I, a mere 18-year-old girl, had to personally bid farewell to my king and bear the weight of a kingdom in chaos, ravaged by famine and the sudden loss of its ruler. Though I am weary, my king, rest assured, I will care for your subjects and make those who wronged you pay. Snow White, what are you doing? I awoke at midnight to a sharp, painful bite and was greeted by a horrifying sight. Snow White was drinking my blood, savoring it as if it were nectar. The vivid crimson of the blood made her face glow with a sinister allure, like that of a demon.
I was hungry, but I feel much better now.
Snow White left my room as if nothing had happened. leaving behind a hideous wound on my hand. I recited an incantation to heal myself. The wound healed, but 2 shriveled black spots, like age marks, remained on my hand. Magic mirror, tell me, what has afflicted my hand?
This is no ordinary bite. Your magic cannot fully heal it. However, you can find a special ointment from the old witch in the city.
The magic mirror cannot directly reveal the truth, but it never lies. Snow White is no ordinary girl. I must warn Finn to keep an eye on her. Following the mirror's guidance, I found the old witch in an isolated alley. Without a word from me, she handed over what I needed. With the ointment in hand, I hurried back to the palace. I couldn't stand the ugly signs of aging on my hand for another moment. The magic mirror didn't deceive me. The cream truly restored my skin, making it smoother and more radiant than before. Once again, I was the flawless young woman, the most beautiful in the kingdom. The cries of young women echoed in my mind, accompanied by the mirror's voice.
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you.
Are you mad? That ugly girl cannot compare to me! The next morning, the ministers reported mysterious disappearances of beautiful young women in the capital. But my restless night left me too weary to think clearly. I decided to retire to my chambers early, but fate had other plans. I ran into Snow White. Her appearance startled me. She had indeed grown more beautiful. Though her skin remained dark, it exuded an enigmatic charm. Doubt crept into my mind. Could the mirror's words be true? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White surpasses you.
Are you blind?
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White surpasses you.
Jealousy is a shadow in every woman's heart, especially for one as beautiful as I. Now, it consumed me entirely. I obsessively applied the cream to my face, feeling it seep into my skin, making it smoother and more supple. Then a chilling thought struck me. If I needed this cream to enhance my beauty, what had Snow White used to achieve her transformation? Could it truly be fresh blood and flesh that sustained her?
That's correct, Your Majesty.
Finn, what is that in your hands? Is that a heart?
This is Snow White's heart. It still beats, even outside her chest. She's a demon. She used this fake magic mirror to manipulate you.
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White surpasses you.
No! How can this be?
I've been observing Snow White and discovered she's been kidnapping the beautiful women of the capital.
Oh God! Finn! Finn was slain before my very eyes.
Ha! Dare to take my heart, and you'll pay with yours.
Snow White appeared before me, grotesque and demonic, holding my magic mirror. You monster! You killed your own parents! Mirror, return to me and punish her!
What's in my hands belongs to me. The mirror's soul has long been under my control. I switched and manipulated the magic mirror long ago, using it to hunt down the most beautiful women in the kingdom. I used their souls to erase the mirror's mind, and their flesh to create the cursed cream. Surprised, aren't you? The miraculous cream you've been using is made from the flesh and blood of those poor girls.
Rage surged through me. I had to stop her. For the king, for Finn, for the innocent girls, and for the kingdom's safety. But as I cast a spell, my skin began to peel, pain tearing through me.
The more magic you use, the faster the cream's effects will take hold. Eleanor, you're just a jealous, petty woman. This kingdom deserves to be ruled by someone as talented and beautiful as me.
Snow White has disappeared. Send people to find her immediately. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
You are the fairest of them all, Snow White.
I was there when it began, though I wish I hadn't been. I served as the royal scribe, a position that required me to document the daily affairs of the court. That day, a fisherman arrived at the palace gates with an extraordinary catch. A mermaid. I'll never forget her. Even in death, her beauty was otherworldly. Silvery scales shimmered on her lifeless tail, and her delicate features seemed carved from moonlight itself. The court buzzed with excitement, and the prince, ever the glutton for novelty, ordered her prepared for the evening banquet. I watched in horror as the palace chefs carved her like a common fish. Her flesh, pale and marbled, was served to the prince and his guests on golden platters. I didn't touch it. Of course, I didn't want to. The very sight of it churned my stomach, but the nobles reveled in its flavor. The prince was ecstatic.
This is no mere meal,
He declared, his lips slick with grease.
This is divinity itself. We must have more.
Thus began the hunt. The prince decreed that mermaids were to be sought across the kingdom. Fishermen transformed into ruthless hunters, arming themselves with nets laced in iron and harpoons sharp enough to pierce the heavens. They scoured the seas, combing every cove and reef for a glimpse of shimmering tales or ethereal songs. Each successful catch was celebrated with feasts in the palace, where the nobility dined on forbidden flesh, their laughter mingling with the distant cries of the ocean. Some fishermen grew nervous, speaking of strange events, nets torn to shreds, boats capsized by unseen forces. The prince dismissed their fears as cowardice. He didn't realize the ocean was listening and waiting. And then came the storm. It was a full moon when it struck, a tempest unlike any I had ever seen. Winds howled like banshees, waves clawed at the shoreline, and lightning split the sky. And then I saw him. A figure rose from the churning waters, towering and terrible. His beard flowed like seaweed, and his eyes burned with the fury of 1,000 storms. It was the Sea King.
You have slaughtered my daughters.
He thundered, his voice echoing in the chamber.
You have defiled the sanctity of the ocean. For your crimes, you shall pay the ultimate price.
He raised his trident, and the ocean was filled with a blinding light. When it faded, he was gone, and so was the storm. But the silence that followed was not one of peace. It was the calm before the true horror. The prince was the first. The morning after the storm, he complained of a sharp pain in his stomach. By midday, he was writhing on the floor, his screams piercing through the castle walls. His body convulsed, his face twisted in agony, and then, with a sickening crack, his stomach tore open. From his mutilated body emerged a figure, twisted and grotesque. It was the mermaid, the first one we had killed. But she was no longer the ethereal beauty we had seen before. Her eyes were hollow, her skin decayed, and her mouth twisted into a ghastly smile.
Did you enjoy your feast, my prince?
She hissed, her voice dripping with malice. Before anyone could react, she leapt through the window and vanished into the sea. But it didn't stop there. One by one, those who had eaten mermaid flesh fell victim to the curse. Their bodies were torn apart from the inside, each one birthing another grotesque mermaid. The palace became a slaughterhouse, filled with the sounds of tearing flesh and desperate screams. I watched in horror as the mermaids, now undead and ravenous, swarmed the sea. They had not at all lenient with the humans who had once devoured them. Instead, they hunted us with an insatiable hunger. Their haunting songs lured the unwary to their doom. Men, women, children, none were spared. Those who heard the melody found themselves drawn to the water, unable to resist. I saw them walk into the waves as if in a trance, only to be dragged under by pale, decaying hands. The kingdom fell into chaos. The towns near the coast were abandoned, their inhabitants fleeing inland, but even distance offered no safety. The mermaids hunted relentlessly, their voices echoing across the hills. I fled with a small group of survivors, hiding in the ruins of an old chapel. We barred the doors and covered our ears, but the songs still found their way in, seeping through the cracks like poison. One by one, my companions succumbed. I alone escaped, though the songs still haunt my dreams. Now I live in exile, far from the cursed shores, but I know the mermaids are still out there, waiting beneath the waves. Their beauty is a lie, a trap for the unwary. If you ever find yourself near the coast and hear a song that tugs at your soul, remember my warning. Run. Run as far and as fast as you can. Because if you don't, you won't just lose your life, you'll lose yourself.
I'm Edna, and I live in a village near the edge of the forest. The young girls here are often targeted by big wolves, and these red scarves dyed with madder roots are the only things that protect us.
Edna, we need your help. Ruby got hurt and can't go into the forest. Can you take her place?
Of course I can. Every year, the villagers send a girl into the forest to give offerings to the old witch, hoping she'll bring a bountiful harvest.
You have to hand this basket to her and follow her instructions. And remember, don't lose this red scarf, or the wolves will smell you.
I looked at Ruby, who was supposed to go. She looked at me anxiously, like she wanted to say something. I know going into the forest is dangerous, but I agreed to take Ruby's place because I want to find out what happened to my sister, Sophie, who disappeared 5 years ago. This forest is always foggy, damp and dark, making it hard to tell day from night. The only colours I see are from the mushrooms. I tried picking one, but even though they look pretty, they smell like rotten meat. I saw some bright red flowers too, but I didn't want to pick them anymore. I heard wolves howling all over the forest. I felt like a pair of bloodthirsty eyes were secretly watching me in the dark. But when I turned around, I didn't see anything. I felt really uneasy. I walked a little further and found a bear. It was lying weakly on the ground, with its leg trapped under a big branch. It looked like it had been there for days. I felt sorry for the bear and wanted to help. I tried lifting the branch, but it wasn't as heavy as I thought. While I was using my Red Riding Hood to bandage the bear's leg, it suddenly thanked me. It scared me.
Thank you, kind girl. To thank you, I'll warn you that a wolf is following you.
I surprised, but quickly responding. Don't worry, I have this red scarf. The wolf won't be able to find me.
No one who's been targeted by the wolf can escape.
Don't worry, I'll go to the witch's house right away. I'll be safe there. I finally found the wooden house in the middle of the forest.
Come in.
The whole house smelled damp and cold. Mushrooms were growing on the corners of the walls and next to the table, making the house seem like it was part of the forest outside. It didn't feel warm or safe at all. It seemed like the owner of this house was very lonely. My name is Edna. The villagers sent me to visit you. Are you sick?
Yes, I'm sick. So please let me lie in bed and don't come near me.
I thought fresh food might make the old woman feel better. But when I opened the basket, all the food was rotten. This is strange. It shouldn't take more than half a day to get here from the village. How could the food go bad so quickly?
You must be hungry. I've made you a mushroom soup.
I did as she said and opened the pot of soup, but the soup inside was dark and thick, with a fishy smell that made me want to throw up. I don't make the old woman sad. I secretly poured the soup away. The soup was delicious. Thank you for dinner. The lonely old woman wanted me to stay with her for the night, but in the middle of the night, I was woken up by the sound of her whispering with someone. Curious, I looked towards the door. The person I thought was an old woman had a face exactly like my sister. Sophie.
Hansel, you're late.
That girl dropped her red scarf, which made me lose track and eat a corpse. It was disgusting.
She ate the mushroom soup and fell asleep, just like our agreement. You take the soul, and I take the body.
Was my poor sister possessed like this too? My whole body froze, and I ran out of that scary house, trembling. It turned out that the sacrifice wasn't the offerings I brought, but myself. I have to escape this forest and expose the horrible truth to the villagers. The bright red flowers from the day were actually dried pools of blood, and the colourful mushrooms grew from them. They were the ones causing the hallucinations. It seems these mushrooms were the real cause of the illusions. I met the bear I had saved again, but it had been dead for days, its body rotting, its stomach ripped open. Suddenly, a cold wind rushed by, making my hair stand on end. Hansel had caught my scent. Terrified and desperate, I tried to back away from the evil creature. My hand crushed a cluster of mushrooms. These mushrooms, although they caused me to hallucinate, also made me stronger. I recklessly grabbed the whole cluster and ate them greedily. A feeling of dizziness washed over me. A sense of power filled my entire body. I stubbornly charged forward and attacked, stabbing the village chief in the eye, making him scream in pain. After taking down the wolf, I ran away, but Sophie blocked my path. Her body had rotted, turning into a giant, hideous mushroom. I picked up the bare bone and rushed to fight, but the person in front of me was just an illusion. Confused, I looked at my hand, and suddenly my stomach felt like it was being pierced through with pain. The feeling of pain pulled me out of the hallucination. It turned out I was just struggling in vain. That bastard Hansel had caught me, taken over me. My body was being enveloped by the mushrooms. I could clearly feel my soul being gradually sucked away. There was no more pain, no more torment, only a numbness that led to death.
To whoever finds this letter, I have always hated myself. I was never a striking beauty. My features were plain, unremarkable. People said my face lacked sharpness, that my eyes were too small, my jaw too round. In a world where appearance dictated fate, I felt invisible. I sought answers in the whispers of fortune-tellers, and each time they confirmed my greatest fear. My face held no promise of fame, no fortune written in my features. You do not have the destiny of a star, one told me, peering into my face with quiet finality. Those words echoed in my mind for years, fueling an obsession that would eventually consume me. I wanted to change, but they told me it would take more than just a simple fix. My naive, foolish self, desperate and full of determination, believed them. I was young when I first stepped into the clinic. It was before the turn of the millennium, when cosmetic surgery was still crude, its promises far greater than its reality. I was naive, believing that a scalpel could carve perfection. The doctor assured me that beauty was just an injection away. I did not question him when he plunged the needle into my skin, filling my face with substances I could not name. At first, I felt nothing but excitement. My skin stretched tight, my chin more defined. I thought I was becoming the woman I had always dreamed of. The first few days, I admired my reflection, running my fingers over my sharper jawline, my fuller lips. I could almost believe I was beautiful, but the changes did not stop. My face began to swell, grotesquely ballooning beyond recognition. The tightness became unbearable, my skin straining as if it would split. My cheeks puffed unnaturally, my forehead bulged, and a strange numbness crept over my features. I awoke each morning to find my reflection had twisted further into something monstrous. The more I tried to hide it with makeup, the more it became clear. This was no normal reaction. Panic set in. I sought out other clinics, desperate for help. They examined me with clinical detachment before delivering the verdict. I had been injected with cooking oil. Cooking oil. The words rattled in my skull. I could not process them. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all I could do was stare as they explained that the oil had seeped into my tissues, impossible to remove completely. The horror was unbearable. I tried to undo the damage, but every attempt at correction only made it worse. More surgeries, more injections, each one a desperate attempt to erase the nightmare staring back at me in the reflection. My skin, once stretched too tight, now sagged in strange places. The tissue swelled unevenly, my cheeks grotesquely large, my lips stiff and misshapen. My nose, once small, had thickened, losing its definition. The more I fought against the transformation, the more it consumed me. As my face distorted further, I became unrecognizable. The skin lost its shape, stretched and sagged in unnatural ways. My features no longer aligned. My cheeks swelled unevenly. My lips twisted into a permanent grimace. I remember the horror in my boyfriend's eyes when he last visited. He could not hide his disgust, no matter how much he tried to feign sympathy. After that day, he stopped coming altogether. Soon, no surgeon would touch me. They all shook their heads, their pity sharper than any knife. It's too late. Nothing can be done. But I refused to accept their words. I did not dare show my face in public. I avoided the outside world as much as possible, locking myself away in my darkened room. I could not bear the stares, the whispers, the disgust written on strangers' faces. But even in isolation, I could not accept my life in such ugliness. Those doctors, who earned fortunes sculpting beauty, had no solution for me. If they could not save me, then I would save myself. I turned to the streets, to the black market, to syringes filled with liquid nightmares. I no longer cared what was inside them. If it promised to smooth my skin, to restore my beauty, I took the risk. Alone in the dark room, I treated myself with the needle of hope. My face became a melting mask, my features distorting into something not quite human. My hands trembled as I traced my swollen cheeks, the uneven patches of flesh where the injections had hardened into lumps beneath my skin. I looked like a wax figure left too close to the fire. People recoiled when they saw me. Strangers whispered behind my back. I stopped leaving my house, stopped answering the door, stopped looking into mirrors, and stopped everything. If you are reading this letter, then I have gone somewhere far away from here. My name is Han Mi-ok. Once, I dreamed of beauty. I longed for admiration, for the kind of allure that could captivate an entire room. I wanted to be loved, to be remembered, to be immortal in the eyes of the world. But now, all that remains of me is this letter and the reflection that haunts my mirror.
On all my hunting trips, I had never let any prey escape my grasp. If a noble prince like me desired something, it would surely become mine. As I was enjoying my victory, a loud noise suddenly caught my attention. An ugly frog was swimming in the pond. Its slimy body disgusted me. Since childhood, I've always hated frogs. Then, a mischievous idea crossed my mind. I tied the frog to a heavy rock and tossed it back in the water. Look at how it struggled helplessly made me laugh. But just as I was laughing, something horrifying happened. The frog exploded, splattering sticky slime all over me. Pain tore through my body like fire. My skin turned slimy. My hands disappeared, replaced by webbed toes. I tried to scream, but only a disgusting ribbit came out. I looked into the water and saw my most hated reflection. I had become an ugly, wart-covered frog. Then, an old voice spoke beside me.
This is your curse. You shall suffer for cruelly tormenting an innocent creature. To break it, you must receive a kiss from the one true princess.
I was fighting against my frog instincts. How could a noble prince like me endure such a thing? I belonged in a grand palace, dining on golden plates and sleeping in a warm bed. I couldn't stand these miserable days. Suddenly, I heard crying near the pond. Wasn't that a beautiful princess? I hurried over. My fair princess, why do you weep so bitterly?
A talking frog? Well, I suppose that doesn't matter now. I'm crying because my beloved golden ball has fallen into the water.
I knew this was my chance. Do not cry, princess. I can retrieve your golden ball. But what will you give me in return?
Whatever you wish. I would give all my fine clothes and jewels and everything that I have in the world.
I seek no jewels nor fine robes. I shall return your golden ball, if you promise to let me stay in your palace, dine from your golden plate, rest in your soft bed, and grant me a goodnight kiss.
Very well, I promise. Just bring me back my golden ball.
I leaped into the water. In just a few moments I found the ball. But as soon as I hopped back onto the shore, the princess snatched the ball from me.
What nonsense you speak! A filthy frog like you could never belong by my side. Now go away!
She laughed mockingly and ran off. Furious, I chased after her. When I reached the magnificent palace, I saw the princess happily playing with her golden ball. I leaped in front of her. You made me a promise, princess! You must keep your word.
Go away, you disgusting frog!
But I refused to give up. Each night I croaked at her window, disturbing her sleep.
You awful frog! You're so noisy and annoying! Fine. You may eat from a golden plate and sleep in a soft bed, but only for one day. Then back to your filthy pond.
And what about the kiss, princess? I swear, just one kiss, and I'll leave.
Very well.
At last, I dined from a golden plate and rested on a luxurious bed. I felt like a prince once more. Now, princess, give me a kiss. Without warning, she tied me to the golden ball.
Did you really think I'd kiss an ugly frog? keep dreaming. You're nothing but my plaything now.
The princess showed no mercy. Dart after dart whizzed past me as I leaped in terror. My body grew heavier. I struggled helplessly, just like the frog I'd once tormented in the pond. Was this my punishment? Then a searing pain coursed through my body. My warty skin burst open, spewing foul slime. The princess was laughing with delight when, all of a sudden, thick, slimy liquid splattered onto her. The princess screamed in terror. She collapsed to the ground, her body trembling violently. The princess had transformed into a grotesque frog. Heavy footsteps thundered down the hall. Then the guards burst into the chamber. The frog princess panicked and leapt through the window into the night. As for me, I lay gasping on the floor, too weak to move. There was nothing left but to accept my grim fate. The curse had claimed us both.
This is your curse. To break it, you must receive a kiss from the one true prince.
I am not rich, never have been, and probably never will be. But I know how to survive. That night, I went to the birthday party of some university rich kid whose name I can't even remember, wearing borrowed and patched up clothes. And cheap things don't last long. My shoe heel broke. I fell to the floor amidst the mocking laughter of the jerks around me. Some girl pointed at me and shrieked, as if I were the cheapest joke of the day. I stood up abruptly, threw away the broken shoe, and ran out of the party, barefoot, feeling humiliated and angry. The streets were cold and dirty, the sharp stones cutting into my bare feet, making them bleed. I ran with my head down, tears in my eyes, and bumped into a strange man. "Hey, are you blind?" I cursed at him without holding back, but he just glanced at me, his eyes so cold and sharp that I instinctively shut my mouth. The strange man walked away, unaware that the red shoe in his plastic bag had fallen out. I looked at the shoe as if I had seen my good fortune. My heart was pounding. I didn't care how he got it. All I knew was, I wanted that shoe. I picked it up, put it on. It fit perfectly. It felt like I became a different person. I simply thought it was a good item and took it home. I had a peaceful night, sleeping in my bed like a fancy lady with red shoes on, until the ringtone ruined my sweet dream. "Hello, this is Karen." What? Isabel was murdered. Isabel was a rich girl from my university class. She was supposed to come to the party last night, but she was kidnapped and cut into pieces. Her body was found chopped up by the side of the road. I had to attend her funeral. Well, it was also a good chance to get close to the upper class, right? The funeral was crowded, heavy with sadness. I stood quietly next to Isabel's parents, pretending to be a sweet friend who was heartbroken over her death. Suddenly, my feet started to feel hot, like some invisible force was pulling me forward. In the blink of an eye, I stumbled toward a man in the weirdest way. My dress flew up, showing off the bright red shoes. I could hear people whispering about my shoes, saying I was disrespectful. Embarrassed, I tried to stop my legs and stand straight. I pulled my dress down to cover the shoes, but they kept glowing red, still trying to move my feet. Was there really something wrong with them? After the funeral, I walked home alone. The shoes were quiet again, just like normal shoes. Then suddenly, the heat came back. The shoes woke up again. It felt like the shoes were getting stronger. They spun me around so hard I had to grab a street sign just to stay upright. I stomped my feet down as hard as I could, trying to stop them. I didn't care what they were. Whatever it was, they really pissed me off. I got home safely and entered the passcode to open the door. But those cursed shoes tried to control me again. I held onto the doorknob to keep my balance, trying to stay calm. But then I saw the reflection in the glass and realized the shoes were doing this for a reason. That strange man I bumped into last night. He was watching me. Now I could clearly see his face. It was Joe, the same guy I just saw at the funeral. A wave of fear rushed through me. I rushed inside and slammed the door shut. I dropped onto the chair and lifted my leg to take off the shoes, but they wouldn't come off. The harder I pulled, the tighter they got. Blood started leaking from my ankles. I screamed and grabbed my phone, trying to search for a way to remove the shoes. But just as I opened Google, the first news headline made my heart stop. That outfit, the man I saw last night and the one following me, it's him. My whole body went cold. Then, I heard the sound of someone entering the door code. The red shoes started dragging me toward the killer again. I had completely lost control of my legs. With all the hatred and determination I felt from the shoes, there was only one explanation. These shoes belonged to Isabel. And somehow, her soul had entered them, and she was trying to get revenge.
Karen, I know you're in there. Open the door.
No, please, don't hurt me. I don't know anything. If Isabel wants revenge, what does that have to do with me? I don't want to be silenced by that killer. I want to live. I completely gave up on using my legs. I dragged myself across the floor with my hands, fighting against the pull of the shoes. My hands hurt so much they went numb, but I couldn't stop. The killer was getting closer. I crawled to the mirror, pulled it down, and smashed it. I grabbed a shard of glass still stuck to a piece of wood. The shoes were still squeezing my feet, like they were trying to eat me alive. I had no choice. I had to tear these shoes off my body no matter what. The door burst open, and the red shoes, with my feet still inside, flew straight at the killer like a bullet. But Joe walked into the room without flinching. I saw him raise the axe, and the shoes, along with my bloody feet, were chopped into 4 pieces. I heard Isabel's voice, screaming in rage. I crawled backward, reaching out in despair. But Joe just walked toward me, dragging the axe across the floor. Screech! 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 I cried. I begged. I screamed for someone to save me. But no one came.
Like every other day, I sat at my familiar wooden table beneath the ancient oak tree. My deck of tarot cards lay before me, waiting for the next seeker of fate. People came and went, some hopeful, others desperate. They asked about love, wealth, or guidance. And I, Bianca, the village's most trusted fortune teller, gave them glimpses of the future. My accurate prophecies had earned me fame, but that meant little to me. What truly brought me happiness was my quiet life with my husband. Suddenly, an old woman in a black cloak appeared. I waited for her to ask for a reading, but she remained silent. Instead, she drew the death card and placed it on the table. I had seen it many times before. It could mean change, endings, or even rebirth, but this time, it meant only one thing: death. I looked up, but she was gone. Only the card remained. A chill crept through me. I grabbed my things and left. When I finally reached home, I shuffled my deck with trembling hands and drew 3 cards. The Empress, the Hanged Man, Death. I stared at them, cold fear settling into my bones. The wheel of fate had already begun to turn. The next day, a royal messenger knocked on my door.
The Duchess has summoned you!
My hands tightened around the parchment. I had already seen this moment unfold in my reading, but I had no choice. The Duchess sat before me, her hands clasped tightly as she fought to maintain her composure. She gripped my hands.
My husband vanished during a hunt days ago. Tell me where he is.
I calmed the Duchess, then focused on shuffling the cards. The cards never lie. I drew a card, the Devil. A suffocating silence filled the room. I see darkness, fangs, blood. He may have met a terrible end. The Duchess's expression twisted with fury.
You dare say my husband is dead? Are you cursing him with your filthy magic?
No, my lady. The cards only speak the truth.
Get out!
I lowered my head and left without another word. Hours later, news reached the castle. The Duke had been found, his body torn apart, mauled beyond recognition, by a bear. The Duchess screamed, and then she sent her soldiers for me. My husband and I fled into the night. Shadows twisted around the trees, the branches clawing at me like skeletal fingers. The pounding of hooves and the glint of torches chased us into the forest. We can't outrun them, I gasped, clutching my husband's arm. He turned to me, his eyes shadowed with quiet determination.
You need to run, Bianca. I'll distract the soldiers.
When his warm hand touched my face, it jolted me awake. I cried, shaking violently. No, I'm not leaving without you. The soldiers were nearly upon us. With one last smile, he shoved me ahead, drew his dagger and lunged toward them. I fled in panic, my heart pounding wildly. Behind me, the sounds of clashing steel and desperate screams echoed through the air. When silence finally fell, I turned back, clinging to the frail hope that my husband still lived. But what I saw froze me in place. His corpse swayed gently from a tree branch carried by the wind. A choked sob escaped my throat. The Hanged Man. Everything was unfolding exactly as the cards had foretold. Fate was drawing near to the death card. I couldn't cry. Tears wouldn't change destiny. But I would have my revenge. The Duchess would pay with her life. I was ready to pay any price, even death. I began the ritual and gave myself to the darkness because pain had taken everything from me. The symbols I once feared were now etched into my mind, and I was ready to offer my soul to make their power mine. The cards appeared before me one last time. Ace of Cups, 3 of Swords, the Star. That night, in her grand dining hall, the Duchess raised a glass of wine to her lips. Ace of Cups. The poison worked swiftly, burning through her veins. She choked, gasping for air as her body shook uncontrollably. In her panic, she grabbed the tablecloth and dragged the whole table down with her. As she fell, 3 knives from the table stabbed deep into her back, just like the 3 of Swords predicted. Her breath came in shallow, painful gasps. Then a candle fell from its holder corresponding to the Star card. The fire raged fiercely, consuming everything in its path. Her screams were lost in the inferno. I fell to my knees as dark smoke wrapped around me. It sank deep into my body, tying me to something beyond this world. When I opened my eyes, I saw someone's hand reaching out to me. The tarot cards were placed beside me. It turned out my soul was trapped within the card. Death. The wheel of fate has stopped. No one can escape their own destiny.
I can't remember how many times I've had this dream, but the fear and helplessness still make my heart ache. That's right, I'm terrified, absolutely haunted by spiders. As a child, I lived on my dad's insect farm, surrounded by spiders. The fear nearly gave me a fatal heart attack, leading my parents to divorce. Now, I live with my mum. My graduation is soon, but Dad didn't reply to my invitation. His last email, 2 weeks ago, proudly announced his success with mutant spider research. I have a bad feeling something went wrong with my dad's research. I've decided to go to his farm and make sure he's safe. It's been almost 10 years since I last set foot in this house. The house was pitch dark, damp, and eerily silent, with only my voice echoing as I cautiously called out, "Dad!" There was just one place left to check. Taking a deep breath, I tried to suppress my fear and turned the doorknob. Suddenly, a swarm of black spiders scurried out from behind the door. My body froze, trembling as I collapsed to the floor. At that moment, someone stepped out of the basement. It was my dad, George, the biologist, silently blowing a strange flute that sent the spiders retreating into the basement. Dad helped me up, his frail hand pale with black veins and dark, sharp hairs like a spider's bristles. Something was definitely wrong with him.
Why are you here, Jax?
I handed him the invitation card. He took it without a word, his cold demeanor cutting deep. Then I noticed something stuck on his eye. Instinctively, I reached out to remove it. It was a strand of spider silk, not something accidentally caught in his eye, but something coming from inside it. Dad jerked back, clearly annoyed by my actions, and rubbed his eye. The strand of silk disappeared without a trace. "Dad, my car broke down. Can I stay here for the night?"
Fine, but stay in your room. Don't wander around.
Seeing Dad's odd behavior, I knew something was wrong, likely because of the spiders. I made an excuse to stay and find out. As a meticulous researcher, I figured Dad would have recorded his entire experiment. I was right. Taking a deep breath, I opened the first folder. Skipping the confusing reports, I clicked on the first video, and it terrified me. The clip showed a female spider carrying an enormous egg sac. The spider screamed in pain, like a woman about to give birth. But spiders lay eggs, don't they? My suspicions were quickly confirmed. I watched as a massive baby spider broke out of the egg, dragging its mother's insides with it. The hungry spider rushed to its first meal, while the mother lay weak, helpless, and still as her young devoured her. It was so cold-blooded, so cruel. It was more disgusting than any spider or monster I had ever imagined. It took me a moment to regain my composure. I opened the final video, but what I saw was even worse. I was sure this spider was no longer a normal creature. Thinking about how this mutated spider had been born, I feared for my dad. What would happen when those eggs hatched? Suddenly, my dad appeared in front of me, his face furious.
Jax, what are you doing here?
I forced down my fear and rushed to tear off his shirt, hoping what I had seen was just a scene from a sci-fi movie. But I was wrong. These spiders were more dangerous than I had imagined. Each egg was stuck to my dad's skin, with a tiny tentacle piercing his spine. They were living and growing off his spinal fluid. The The fear in my chest grew stronger, and I felt dizzy, my hands and legs trembling uncontrollably. Looking up at my dad, I noticed his eyes were slowly turning into those of a spider. I heard him gasp and scream at me.
Run! Get out of here!
He still had his mind. He still cared for me. I had to save him, telling myself that. I grabbed a ruler from the desk and rushed toward him. I shoved him to the ground, using all my strength to crush the eggs on his back. One by one, they cracked open and the baby spiders fell, filling the air with the scent of blood and a foul odor. Suddenly, my dad erupted with strength. He shoved me off, screaming,
"Don't hurt my children!"
"You've lost it, Dad! I'm your son! I'll save you from these monsters!" I yelled, only to realize, in shock, that the man in front of me was no longer the dad I knew. He had fully transformed into a monster. He shielded the baby spiders like a true mother spider, glaring at me as though I were an enemy trying to harm his offspring. The look in his eyes caused me pain and despair. What could I do to save him? But it was too late. The monster, now enormous and with all the terrifying traits of a spider, stood before me. My body froze, even breathing felt difficult, and my heart began to ache again. My dad's agonizing scream jolted me back. I turned to see the newborn spiders, driven by instinct, making him their first meal. Survival instinct drove me to run. I tried to drag my dad with me, but it was already too late.